Alright, what up? Welcome back. We have the Pentax MG. I got this in not too long ago, but figure talk about it real quick. Basically just has the infinite wind issue. This happens a lot with the ME Super, MV, P30s, P3s, all of those that kind of use the similar advanced linkage system. So it happens with them quite often. You'll notice that the mirror is stuck up like so. And then if you look here in the back on the curtains, I got the little two dots there. So all I'm gonna do is just slightly push down on this, and I'm pushing just straight down, not pushing in and down, just slightly down. And what that does is drops the mirror there. So now that the mirror is down, you'll notice that now we just keep on ripping, which is not good. Basically that will just mean you shoot through your roll a lot faster than you wanted to. And by shooting through, I mean advance through and not actually take any pictures. Which, I don't know, sometimes some rolls of film I shot, I kind of wish I did that, as opposed to actually take photos on them. Would have been a better use of my money, but anywho. So got the 3 screws on the bottom here, fairly straightforward. These are all the same screw design. They're like little shoulder screws. I suppose I could probably show you for an example. Yeah, so you can see there, kind of a bit of a different screw than the ME Super bottom screw. Longer, has like a little shoulder there. It's rounded out on the end as opposed to flat, which is, some could say, is an interesting thing. I think that'd be a very generous thing to say, but you know, it is what it is. So now I got those there, the bottom is off, and now I'm just going to remove this little dish from there. And that's basically just like a dust cover, so nothing gets in the bottom here. We got the 3 screws connecting the linkage arm there. These are all the same screws as the ME Super, the ME, all that stuff. Cool beans. And then this sometimes can be a challenge. I've done this previously, so it's a little bit loose already. But basically you're just trying to loosen this up and then kind of lift up. You don't want to unscrew the screw too much, because that could release the tension on the little copper spring that sits underneath all this. And I just like to tighten it up to be safe. I'm gonna do that, make sure that that is charged, and I'm gonna take the flathead down in there and just kind of, yeah, that is just straight up stuck. Okay, now we got the alcohol. Do a little drop there, and then do a little drop there. Something just fell, that's awesome. Fairly straightforward. It's basically, it's the same fix as for the ME Super and all of the other ones I've talked about previously. The notable thing that's different about this is the little dust cover that sits there, and then also this screw in the middle. Also, you'll notice too, this is kind of helpful, but this, the battery cover is actually in the camera body itself as opposed to attached to the bottom, so you don't have to worry about the batteries falling off. And also the advance, or the auto winder contact whatever cover is a part of the body as well, so that's kind of nice. Makes it a little easier for me. Okay. Okay. And really at this point it's just a matter of patience. I'm going to use a bit of air here. Try it out. Yeah, really now it's just a matter of messing around with it a little bit. making sure it moves relatively freely, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. It is fairly straightforward. Let's get in there, but it is a very tedious thing, and as I've mentioned before in previous videos, this isn't like 100% the solution. There is I'm not entirely sure with the MG, because I've taken one of these apart before. I think there's a lot of similarities in the system, obviously, but there might be a few differences. But I know on the ME Supers there is that rubber bushing that I think I've mentioned before, and that can erode, and basically what that'll do is just kind of perpetually gum up the system, because it's accounting for movement tolerance, basically, and if that's not there, then there's additional friction, and that will cause the system to fail over time, which is what happens. So, mind you, these are very old cameras, so these things will happen. It's just a matter of prolonging them from happening as much as possible. Okay, we're getting there. Slow and steady, wins the race. Use a little more air. Now, notice a few things here. One, I'm not just dumping alcohol in, because that would be dumb. And two, I am using air, and that's basically just to kind of clean things out a little bit more, help things run a little bit more smoothly. Because you don't want there to be like an excess of liquid in the cameras. Even in the old repair manuals, when it's telling you like, oh, these parts are good for lubrication, they usually mean like a drop. And I'd run into this problem a lot at the old shop. I'd be training somebody, or shoot, even when I was being trained, so I'd be like, oh, here's the oil we use. And I was like, oh, oil, that'll be good. And then just dump a bunch in. And we'd use like this silicone stuff, and after a while it just gets so gummy and it doesn't really go away, so you have to take the whole thing apart to clean it and whatnot. But anyway, the point being is a little goes a long way, especially with these small devices, small actuations. The movements are all fairly minimal, so when you start adding different components to that, issues will tend to arise a lot faster. So I would just bear that in mind if this is something you're hoping to do on your own. This is moving a little bit more freely now. It's a little still sluggish, so I'm gonna let it sit for a little bit, because that's the other thing too, is you don't want to just kind of keep dumping stuff into it. But I will let it sit, and then I'll put it back together, and then I'm gonna give it a good cleaning on the top here, because as you can see there's a lot of gunk buildup. In the meantime, I got to charge the battery for the camera, and then I'll get back to this. But yeah, that's basically the basics of fixing this issue on the MG. It's the same thing, like I said, as the ME Super, but there's a few notable differences. One being the whole system down here. So if you have any questions, please comment down below, and I hope you found this video helpful, enjoyable, educational even, and maybe, I don't know, even entertaining a little bit. Probably not that, because it's this very boring stuff, but appreciate you watching. Nonetheless, subscribe to the channel for more content. Appreciate you watching as always. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one.